Welcome back to another podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It is No Sugar, No Cream podcast, and we are located in the ocean, somewhere undisclosed location for our own protection and yours. So let's get into it on our first podcast. Tim, how you feeling today?
I'm doing great. I'm just wanting to let's see. I'm trying to check the sound and all that.
You know, it's a little crazy, of course, being in the middle of the ocean, but we are live, ladies and gentlemen, on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And I think it sounded pretty good in my ear on YouTube. Check 1, 2, 3. All right, we got just one mic, so it'll be a little different. But we are good to go.
Yeah, the sound is coming through. So
I mean, we're not an undisclosed location, but we took off yesterday on family cruise.
That's delayed, and that's really
coming there. So we're officially day 2 of our first cruise out of Long Beach, California, and it's going well. No crazy hiccup. Everything's gone fairly smooth. It's been nice. We are. I forget what the first stop is. Well, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. And you sound like me.
Somewhere in Mexico. Baja California Peninsula.
Maybe it is a closed location for our protection. We still got all the you can't be in the ocean without the internet, of course. So we still got the internet. We're live for you guys. And my brother and I's room here with my parents and the 5 of us having a good time. We were in Hollywood for a couple of days, had a good time, got to see some good comedians, pretty enjoyable, saw some pretty crazy comedians also. But then I got a tour of WB, which is up for sale right now. That's Warner Brothers. Saw a pretty cool tour. Saw some where they film things in the back and tons of shows I've just interchanged. They keep it plain as possible so they can just put decorations and lights. And I mean, you won't even recognize they're using the same spots over and over again. So that was really neat.
But the future of that, I mean, a couple of trends that are happening. Not to be Debbie Downer or Donnie Downer.
Welcome to the
filming is because of California is inexpensive. So LA area is an expensive area to live and to film, and a lot of projects are leaving California to go to other states or countries where it's cheaper. I know Texas has made a concerted effort to bring a lot of projects there by giving some kind of incentives, whether it's reduced cost. I'm not sure what they all do, but governments have ways of incentivizing businesses, and other states I know that are incentivizing it. And that's a trend that I think, though the people, maybe the stars not so much, because there's as many projects as ever being made with all of the, there's so many channels. How many channels are there? There's so many different providers, and they're all putting projects together like Netflix and Paramount and Amazon Prime and so many Apple. So there's a lot of projects, but the California people that work behind the scenes, and there's a bunch, makeup and costumes and sets and the videographers and the grip and the best boy. And I remember always seeing the credits best boy, and I always wonder, what was a best boy? Do they ever have a best? That's usually in the credits they have a best boy. Anyway, I have no idea what that is. But
Hollywood is completely changing. And
yeah.
And the funny part is, I'm just gonna say, 23 years will it be Hollywood? But technically, is it really Hollywood now? Because there's more stuff filmed probably out. I think technically already.
That's my point. That's my point. And that was the number one threat I was saying. And the number two threat has nothing to do with location. It's AI.
I know.
I mean, so
in fact, I was about to say, because I thought they were going right away. I was about to say, "Welcome to the AI segment."
So you don't need that big set. I mean, that building where you were at probably was a huge warehouse. How ceiling probably or ceiling of 20 feet or 30 feet. So they could put big sets in there, right? How high was that building? It was like a big warehouse kind of thing.
Yes, some of them, yeah, were the right. Then we walked through some of the houses, but they still haven't gotten it out pretty good, pretty high up. But yeah,
you could just do that on your computer. You don't even need to build anything. You don't need set designers. You don't need to, and you don't even need programmers. You just punch it into AI, and AI generates.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
I think that will easily take over for cartoons and that kind of stuff right away. I feel like, as far as like having humans, like I hate the idea of having human actors. But at some point, I'm not going to be able to. That's the issue. I'm not going to be able to tell.
Nobody's going to be able to tell. Not just you. I mean, so where are we going? I mean, I think of. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's changing. Things are changing, and keep seeing these ads. They're trying to get you to buy their program. AI will create 1 millionaires in 5 years. The internet did in 20. You've certainly seen that commercial. Trying to sell programs to AI. It's kind of like learn how to use it or get left behind is kind of the thought process now. And I know that Tony Robbins, who's a guy I respect greatly, he has a program recently for a free 3-day seminar, and I signed up for it, but I didn't watch it because I had so much to do about AI, introduction to AI, how to use AI. And they say ChatGPT is just the topic. If all you're using is ChatGPT, you're not doing it. It's a lot deeper. Which I'm using ChatGPT, and that's about the extent of it. So I'm just on the surface, I guess. So, yeah, and it threatens a lot of jobs. I mean, IT used to be, if you got an IT degree, master's IT degree, or you knew how to program, maybe didn't even need a degree. That was a lot of jobs. College, graduate level, undergraduate, graduate level, 6 figures, and now they're being replaced with AI based on from being the hottest major to being, I can't find a job. So
it comes down to just saying the right prompts.
right. Learning how to put the right prompts in. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, embrace it or get left behind, I guess is my method. I mean, it's coming. You can't stop it. I mean, it's like the term is can't come up with it, but there was a group of there's a term for people that try to remember recall's failing me. And if I wasn't using my phone for the camera, I would look it up on my phone. But there's a term for people who resist change, and there's a group of people in the 1800s, I think it was, in Europe, when there was the Industrial Revolution. Those who studied history of the Industrial Revolution, where machinery came along to replace a lot of things that were done manually. And in the late 1800s, and there was a group of people in England and the UK who, and I'm trying to think of the name for it, and there were a group of people who went into the factory and tried to destroy the machines that would do automatic weaving. I think weaving of cloth had to do with garments, I think, with cloth. And they destroyed the machines, and now forever, the name, we have to. I might let you click on that while I Google what that is, because there's a term for that, and we don't want to be that kind of people because it's happening whether you want it or not. And take it away, Seth.
Well, it got me thinking, of course, people that still living in the 18th century with the buggies and all that. Won't use technology. I was about to say Mennonites, but that's not the right. But they came out of it. But the people were just using the buggies and stuff. What are they called?
Oh, the Amish.
Luddites.
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 It's
okay.
on the tip of my tongue. The primary group in European history known for violently resisting modernization were the Luddites, English textile workers. I had that part right, and it was England. I had that part right. I just couldn't remember their name. Luddites, English textile workers in the early 19th century, right? Well, 19th century, yeah, 1800s. I had that right. So I had everything right except remembering their name. The Luddites were members of a movement of English textile workers between 1811. I thought it was 1800s. It was early 1800s, 1811, 1816. Who protested against the introduction of automated machinery, particularly power looms, knitting frames. They feared this new technology would cause unemployment, reduce wages, and lower quality. And so, being called a Luddite is an insult today because that means you're fighting change when it's inevitable. And so, I would say we do not want to be Luddites. That's my message from my personal
Then we'll
opinion.
call you Ludite. Ludite. I don't know. It just doesn't sound very offensive. It doesn't carry the weight.
Why would you think?
Well, I don't know. No.
That's the reason why.
So of course, Tim and I are these couple of most ridiculously trends that makes our brain a little bit dumber, but that's okay. But no, you're in the middle of talking, telling a story, and I go no, and you literally interrupted yourself by saying, "Why would you think?" Daniel was so confused. He was like, "What?"
Daniel's his brother. We were at lunch today. So that's Bobby Finn. If you don't know, Bobby Finn,
funny as can be,
had gotten millions of well over 1 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, and he just does these skits where he acts like an indignant jerk, really. And sometimes he's playing both sides. He plays the person that is being a jerk too, and then the person a jerk.
Well, he's showing one of the things he does is he show people words that you would think would be similar, sound the same, but then are completely different.
Right. That's one of his things. But he did a real funny one was the football one, or where there's four different rulings at the line of scrimmage when somebody moves soon. And I didn't even know there were that many things. There's offside, encroachment, and then there's one more. And they all have different rules. I thought it was all offsides. So you got offsides, which the offensive guy moves, and you got false start, or maybe backwards. False start would be offense, right? Offside would be defense. Encroachment, and there was one more.
Yeah. Well, encroachment, I think, was where you literally into the zone, whatever. Yeah, it's crazy.
And there's one more, but anyway, there's four of them, and he had a whiteboard, and he was pretending he had X and O's diagram, and there was a young woman, influencer, who was doing it with him, and he was doing a skit where he was teaching her these different, and she's trying to make sense of it, and he says, okay, offsides. And then he says, what if the defense moves? And that would be, and she said, offsides. And he goes, no, what would you think? And the whole skit went through. And finally, by the end, she's just collapsing into the chair. And it was really hilarious. The thing, I sent that skit to Jimmy, my buddy Jimmy, who's a huge football fan. And he said he knew all four of those, which I was impressed. Did you know all four of those?
Man.
I did.
I've heard them, but I know them for the most part, okay, but yeah, I've never taken
specifics of the different styles. Very impressed.
He's a real fan.
And I said, why do you know that? And he said, when he was a kid, he get passionate on something and they eat it up. That's often he was a kid. His older brother would take him to Colts games. He said back then you could get a ticket for like $5. I don't remember exactly, but very, very cheap. Yeah. And so they would go to the game, and he looked forward to it because his older brother would take him, who has now passed. Which is just sad. That was passed. But so his memories of that, and he got the bug of being a Colts fan, and he spread everything he could find, and that's where he learned the rules.
Did they win Sunday?
I didn't pay attention. They've got one of the best records.
Colts game. Oh no, they lost. Oh, no, that was the 30th. Was that? No, that was, yeah, that was Sunday.
Well, they
Oh,
lost
they
to the
lost to
Chiefs.
Houston, which Houston I
They
think
got a
has a
bit of a
good
losing
record.
streak going then because they lost to the Chiefs. Do they have a 3-game losing streak, or at least a 2-game losing streak?
I think they're still on top of their division, which so Cowboys are looking good. The crazy thing is they beat both of the Super Bowl, both teams that won the Super Bowl in 4 days. That were in the Super Bowl in 4 days. That was pretty cool. And then the last one was Chiefs Thursday night. I'm excited about that. They should have that game on the
Well,
ship.
Thursday. I mean, you
It's
mentioned
a Detroit
you
game.
haven't had a podcast since you.
Yeah. I
So tell
was
us
there.
about that
Oh, that was pretty fun.
Thanksgiving game in Dallas. You were in Dallas.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went. I went and did. I paid for like before they had a big meal thing, and I paid for a big meal thing. There was like 5,000, 500,000 people that paid for a meal thing. So there was like an open bar area. They had the noon game up on the TV, a DJ going. So it was pretty lively. It was pretty neat. And then they had a bunch of uh, bunch of food. They had just a buffet of food, and they were changing out like crazy, and it was fantastic. They had creamy corn and turkey, ham, all the major stuff that I want that we were kind of bummed out on our Thanksgiving last year because it was just eh. But yeah, so I had a really good meal, hung out for a few hours, and then head to the game. And then I just had a standing ticket, so I was just kind of struggling to find a good spot. Had a full stomach, which was nice, and fighting a desire for a nice uh, afternoon nap after that meal. But I ended up finding a good spot to watch the game for quite a while, which was a spot that we weren't supposed to be. But there was a bunch of us lined up, and there was a lady that ended up finally kicking us out. And I didn't end up staying too much long after that because it was just kind of there was like they sold so many just standing room tickets. So like you can only really be in the end zone on the end zone sides. So you're kind of pushed back, so you're almost just looking at the big screen. So I thought I'd just Uber back to the hotel and finish it up on TV because I do like.
For the end of the game?
Yeah, I know it's so lame. I
You go all the way to Dallas to see, and you don't even take the game.
Okay, come on. You love it.
Give me your Cowboy fan card. Give it to me.
Hold on.
Give me your Cowboy fan card.
Tim, have you ever left a Celtics game early?
Have I ever left this? No.
Really? Okay.
Not when I was physically there.
What would you think? No. Okay, thank you. But it just made it tough because I had a standing room, and like, and I didn't want to pay $500, $600, $700 for a ticket. So I was like, but just the environment of being there was just amazing. And then I did the meal before, which was awesome. That was well, it was like $100. Well, I could have got it for 85, but I bought it late. But that was food and everything included, and then just the environment of all the people was a lot of fun. So that night, later though, I ended up playing poker. Um, in Texas, poker isn't legal, but they do private clubs. So if they sign you up and you have a membership, they can. It's kind of it's protected. Weird rule Texas has. So I paid $10 for a membership that's this club and went and play poker. And it was interesting because they did so to for the house to get their money, they'll rake every time people put money out. They'll take like a percentage. Rather than do that, they just charge everybody $14 an hour. So like everybody's paying the exact same amount for one thing, and it's just and I mean, uh, so it was that wasn't a. It's probably cheaper that way, or I don't know, but you started paying $14 an hour, and I felt like I played for 2 hours, only paid for an hour, and I did pretty well. Ended up up $100 or so. Had some decent hands and just played fairly smart. and it was already 2 o'clock by the time I left there, so I was ready to hit 2 a.m. Yeah, so I was out there for a little bit. I didn't go there till late, so, um, but had a blast, and then of course that was Thanksgiving Day. The next day I flew to L.A. and then uh, got to my spot there in Hollywood. Got checked in the hotel in Hollywood, and that evening I went and went to Chit's spot. So I went to the Improv. Went to what's it called, Groundlings. And the school's right across. You can see the facilities where the school is, and I guess it's pretty reasonably priced for like a few $100. You can get like 12 classes or something like that. It was just pretty cool, and and that's a good way to start. Like, I mean, there's so many people that have come out of there. Um, uh, so many people that have done SNL and done movies and probably became comedians. Or it's a lot. I mean, improv's a lot different than acting. You're acting. You're just like you're the audience gives you an idea and you act it out, and then they do like a thing where they clap and they switch out people into another scene. They'll do callbacks to other scenes, which can be really funny, and that's a lot of fun. That went for a solid hour or so, right about an hour, and that was just $20 to go to too, and that was well worth it. There was just
So
about 80
for
people
those
there.
like myself who are not it's kind of like this Carrie who's right?
Yeah, a lot
For
like
those
that.
who may not
A lot like that, but so much faster, so much faster paced.
well,
So much faster paced. They would clap and they would go as quick as they can, grab a chair, switch out people, and then they would just start into like I think it literally started. They were in a circuit city working, and you just say that, and then you play off of what the other person says, and then it just got to a crazy place where people were homeless, dre- dressed up as animals to have a home to build in people's houses. It was just ridiculous. It just got so goofy.
so is there somebody in charge who says, okay, it's time to stop?
They kind of switched out. They switched out, and then they would end it when they felt they would
Who
end
would
that
but
scene.
somebody's in charge?
Yes, somebody was in charge, but then it would be random people that would start a new scene. It was it was kind of like organized chaos in a way,
Wow,
but
wow,
it
wow.
was very much enjoyable.
So group not maybe no they just regulated themselves.
hmm
Maybe
There
no
was just
officially appointed.
8 of them up there. Um, and Chit is a teacher at the school. No, I mean my Chit when he's teaching. But
I think there's only
so
two.
I mean we're big on TikTok and YouTube and watching Chit skits, which is super funny, similar to. I mean those are scripted. I mean they probably ad lib a lot of stuff, of course, but uh, very much like um,
The Office.
The Office. You
Like
got short
funnier.
skits like SNL. So funny. I mean you got this character Chit who's he
Probably
is he is that odd awkward person, and he
very awkward,
makes
yeah. On the spectrum,
everything he says is funny. Just his looks
and
are
so
funny.
yeah, everything about him. He's got a really cool hair, and he's.
Calm
I
down,
mean,
calm down.
I always think as a songwriter, I always think about when they're in the conference room and laying out on the whiteboard, or I'm a music on a whiteboard. Okay, how are we going to make this funny? And we have to develop the characters, and what is the characteristics of this character? And I think the chick character, who's the leading character, is autistic. I would say on the spectrum, and he's either a genius at something unexpected, like he's a model, in the character was a model, or he's an absolute idiot. And there's no in the middle because that's not funny. The extremes is where it's funny. I'm imagining. I'm not a comedian, but boring down the road. That doesn't make interesting movies, books, songs. I mean, it has to be the extreme. And you're gritting things. So they either created him as being a complete idiot, like he's doing the books. I don't know how he ever got to be the accountant. I mean, theoretically, it doesn't make sense. They would have fired him long ago, and he never. He's the boss comes in and asks him, "Have you got that budget done?" And he said, "Punching the numbers."
To the numbers. He finally tries to hand it to it, and it goes over fire.
And it was Christmas time, and he had candles lit on his desk. They said that's a fire hazard, but he had a whole bunch of candles because he does everything the character does. And the boss comes and says, "Chit, do you have the budget?" And he said, "Yeah, I've completed it." The boss, and it goes right over the fire and burns up, of course. So,
did you do that on purpose?
Did he? We don't know. That was the last one I watched. Has there been any since?
We got the whole Thanksgiving. Have you want? They did a whole. There's been like 4 or 5.
Yeah, he went to the boss's house for Thanksgiving. I don't know if I saw that.
Then he invited the
ex.
He was at the Groundlings. He was one of the 8 people. That was amazing.
The actor who played that part.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It was so cool. I'd seen him on TV too. He played in this.
But I wonder. I mean, is there, like, for example, there are characters that don't. There's one character who's never said a word. I forgot his name.
Because
Lyle,
Sam or something. Sam. He just. Oh, there was like five times he was about to say something, and they interrupted him during one of the last skits.
But we will watch some of the early ones, and he did say something in the early ones. And that's probably, and then they said, we need to evolve this character.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And probably said, no, you need to say nothing. And then there's Kyle is the one behind the camera.
Yeah.
Lyle.
Kyle. Yeah.
Never seen him, but he's talking and he's filming everything.
You saw a drawing of him, but there's a cell phone in front of his face.
And then there's Linda. Is it Linda?
Linda, yeah.
She's the black lady. She's so
amazing.
Funny. She's so funny.
She gives a good look. Good, funny, the funniest.
She looks at the camera.
The best pauses that she's saying so much, but no word. Oh,
so skilled. And that boss is pretty amazing.
It'll be interesting to see what they go with this. It's like, because it could easily be given an offer for a sitcom, but it could completely ruin the show.
We've talked about that. Yeah.
So it would all come back down to the writing.
Carry the weight of, you take a character, you got to expand about it. And one example of where that did not work. Now, I mean, okay, let's talk about one. In my opinion, one example that worked amazingly well.
Right, they had put stories together. Like the Thanksgiving one is one. Are you going to talk about where they went to?
I'm talking about in the history of comedy,
okay,
when a small skit was turned into a movie. When it worked, when it didn't. Okay,
that's
if you can think of examples,
yes.
I can think of one.
Okay,
and this is old. This is showing my age. But John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd used to do a skit in SNL, Saturday Night Live, of the Blues. And it was just a skit that they would do. And they got a deal somehow, I don't know the whole history of it, to make an entire movie. And they created it. And the 2 guys, Jake and Elliot. And they created
the Blues Brothers. I don't think I've ever seen the whole movie.
Elliot. Yeah, and they made at least 2, maybe 3 of them. And they got all the best musicians on there, and they had Aretha Franklin on there, and they had Godfather of Soul, James Brown, and they had so many great people, artists on the original Blues Brothers. I mean, it was a humongous hit, and they turned what was just skits into a franchise, and a lot of people know the Blues Brothers. And
SNL has a good record of doing that. They were doing that,
and then I have another one that absolutely did not work. And, I'm a big fan of the Big Lebowski. Somebody asked me how I'm doing. I go, oh, ups and downs, strikes and gutters, the dude abides, which is a line that the Big Lebowski said at the end of the movie.
Never heard.
There's a character, a minor character in there, played by John Turturro, of a flamboyant Puerto Rican guy, Jesus.
Set off thing
and Turturro, who played that part, apparently, fine actor. John Turturro did in a lot of stuff, and he apparently held in his heart that he wanted to make a full length movie of that character, and that was his passion project. and he wrote it, I think. Number one mistake, he's not a writer.
Yeah.
So Big Lebowski came out, what, in the late 90s? And finally, like 20 or 25 years later, just recently, the last 5 years, I think, a movie came out of expanding that character for an entire movie. We started watching it.
Did we finish it?
No, it is so bad. It is
Yeah.
so bad.
The writer was just completely
Just
crap.
horrible. Horrible. And John Turturro is a great actor, but a great actor can't save in a horrible script. So, yeah, there's an opposite extreme. What examples do you have?
Here's one that's kind of interesting. Commercial. The commercial of the Caveman.
Right.
They did the commercial for Geico. Super funny in little 2-minute clips. And then they would try to make a sitcom. They did 2 episodes.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It was horrible. It was just, there was nothing there. It was just, yeah. I mean, it comes back to, yeah, you can ad lib, you can do something for a couple minutes, it can be great, but man, you got to have an anchor of amazing writing, and because I would say you had the characters there, the characters were there, but you didn't have a story strong enough for them to carry, where like they're basically just funny in 2-minute increments,
I mean, about the Blues Brothers. So, no, I never watched it, so I never really. I first become aware of the Blues Brothers when the movie came out, and it was the hottest thing. It was just the biggest thing, the movie, and I don't think there was any background to them. They just performed, and they were phenomenal performers, actually singing the songs. And Dan Aykroyd actually could play the harmonica, blues harmonica, and they were really, really good. And they danced, of course. They created an entire backstory. I mean, the first scene of the movie, John Belushi, I think he played Jake. I don't remember who played, but John Belushi character is getting out of prison, and even
amazing story together.
Yeah, they made a backstory, and then
they did 2 of those.
Okay, let's talk about that in a minute. And so then, even the part he's checking out of the prison, and they said stand behind this line, and then the counter was like 5 feet ahead of him, so he had to lean forward because they made them stand behind the line. It was just physical comedy. It was hilarious. And they said it was a record car crashes. They could never do it. They did it in downtown Chicago. They said you could never do that today. It would not be allowed. They found this abandoned mall, and they used the mall to destroy the entire mall, driving through places, driving through actual, storefronts.
Mm-hmm.
Crashed so many cars. But they made a backstory, and that they went to
even more than Grand Theft Auto, huh?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should look that up. But I wonder if they did. If that still holds our record. But they made a backstory that they grew up in an orphanage and they went to visit the Catholic nun. And she said, "We need money because it's going to get shut down." And they're leaving. They're going, "We are on a mission from God." So it created a mission for them. Classic, as I like to talk about, the hero's journey. Mm-hmm. That's what makes a great story. We have an arc of a hero, where they have a mission, they have something they have to accomplish, and they have to go somewhere. Usually, you have to go somewhere else. A great story encapsulates the hero's journey, and that's what that whole story is on the hero's journey. And
that could be applied to all movies. I would say, like even for the stupidest, funniest one. When you think about the movie, Dude, Where's My Car? They lost their car. They got to find the car. They
they had a mission.
They had a mission.
That's what makes a great. The hero's journey has been as a template for how to make a great book, even a book, a novel, or a movie. Use the hero's journey, and that's why I don't care. I don't care so much for series because you interrupt that arc. You got to have some sort of conclusion to each episode. And so each episode has a mini hero's journey, but you really can't do that in a half-hour episode. And then have it come back and pick up and make another episode. So, I mean, short-term what do they call limited series, like 3 or 4 or 5 maybe episodes where they extend it out and show the hero's journey. But for multiple seasons, they're basically dead because how do you keep making more and more?
I feel like CSI is a good example of this. Where I felt like a lot of the shows CSI.
CSI.
So you kind of have a little story here that you have closure for usually at the end of that 1 hour, but then they add to the big story and the characters in it a little bit. Some lean more into the characters, some lean more into. I mean, you literally only have 42 minutes to do that for an hour show because commercials. Like, and a lot of times they do that, so you get that closure, but then and then there's those shows that it's just a long movie in a way where like all it's about. There's no closure really at the end of every episode. It's just stretched out.
Seinfeld, which I believe when they got in their room and they had their whiteboard discussion, I think they pretty much said that our characters, sometimes you do anti the hero's journey, where you say the characters are not going to learn, they're not going to grow, they're going to be exactly the same. And that is what the story is about. The fact that they don't learn, they don't grow, they don't improve, nothing changes. And Seinfeld did how many seasons? And there was, Kramer was still just as weird at the first episode he was at the end, and so on. George, I mean,
there was probably some kind of goal for each episode, something they would accomplish or something, or
no, I don't think so.
To them, no,
it was always embarrassment and failure. Nothing ever worked out.
I mean, like the soup thing, no soup for you, the whole thing. He was trying to figure out a way to get in there, right? Like,
well, the only one that seemed to me, just at first glance, the only one who was able to win was Kramer. Kramer would sometimes win, but George never won. George, he'd think he'd have something in his grasp, maybe a beautiful woman that he was going to make his girlfriend, and by the end he'd have lost it. Or he had a beautiful woman as his girlfriend and he wanted to get away from her. Whichever. He was always losing. It seems to me, based
did
on
each episode kind of end with him doing a little bit of stand up, or
at the first,
okay,
first couple seasons.
Okay.
Then they realize he's not very good at stand up. I mean, that's what some people think. Especially now you watch those early episodes and you see a stand up. This was yeah. This was funny. Everybody considered this funny in the early 90s. It doesn't to me. It is not funny at all.
And that's what his part was, right? He was.
But there are people who say he's one of the worst stand-up comedians. I don't know. I mean, you're a big fan of. You go to stand-up comedy shows.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of his. I've never tried to too much.
TV show is amazing.
Yeah,
I love
a good sitcom.
One of the top TV shows. If you put together the top TV shows of the last since 1951 on popular TV, I mean, it's going to be in the top list of like 25 or 30 shows. It's going to be in that list. It is an iconic show. I mean, you can't deny it. I feel.
I've liked all of Tim Allen's sitcoms. He's just, I mean, he's the glue that had made those. There's been some great writing, but I mean, I think he's what makes those shows glow. You've watched a number of the new show that he started, where it's a strange daughter comes back into his life and kind of lives with him, and she has 2 kids, and he has a car place and just all that deals with that.
The star of that show is the daughter. She's 8 years old, maybe 5 years old.
Oh yeah, she's great. Isn't she great?
The actress.
Yeah.
Would you guess? Hard to guess. Maybe 7 or 8, maybe. I'm guessing.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
So
the son does too pretty good, but I agree with you.
Maybe
she is just amazing.
I'm not very good with ages.
They both do really good, but she's I mean, I guess she could push the little cute thing factor too. I guess that it's just kind of, but her acting is fantastic. Just, but yeah, all 3 of his shows he had where he had 4 sons, then the show where he had 3 daughters. Both those were amazing.
And on this latest one, Stifler from American Pie.
Yeah, I love that he had that comeback. He's been doing parts here and there and has done pretty well over the years. And here he is. It's cool to see him on this. I've seen him in a couple of movies, but this gives us a better light. I mean, Tim Allen's so huge too. I'm on a show with Tim, And then the guy in the wheelchair, of course, I mean, he's really paralyzed. It's interesting. I was looking up on him. He it was a motorcycle accident, I guess, but because he used to act, he's been acting even before he got hurt. He was in the movie Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen. So Tim Allen has known him for years and brought him on with this show, and he does a great job too. Him and Scott is his name is the or yeah Scott William Scott. But yeah, it's I quite enjoy those sitcoms. But yeah, Saturday Night Live has really been when you go back to you know skits and things like that have just been a short format made out of movies or sitcoms. I'd say Saturday Night Live
Can you
has
think of
done the
any others?
best. Oh yeah, the Saturday Night Live had Night of the Roxburies. Really goofy movie. It just started with a silly dance where two goofy guys with slick back hair come on the dance floor and they're doing a stupid dance like this. They made a whole movie out of that, and it's not too bad. It was a really funny movie in the '90s. I remember all of us kids loving it, and it's super goofy, super goofy. It's probably just for um, that kind of like the people that like goofy kind of movies. But I mean, that was there's the niche, and they turned it into a full story. Um, there's also their version of MacGruber, where they would do skits, and he would, all right, gonna cut the cord. And at the end of every scene, everything would blow up. They made a whole movie out of that, full budget and everything, and I'm pretty sure it was profitable. It did pretty well at the box office. It was a pretty decent movie, and it helped too that he had I mean, a good story and then a good all-star cast. Some serious people. He was the funny, goofy person, but there was some people that could kick butt that were around him because everything would end up blowing up with with him being in charge. But there's probably been some other stuff. I mean, uh, yeah, I guess off the top of my head, and I've had a dang cold for the last few days, which is fun. Celtics play here in a little bit.
Celtics playing a little bit. Oh,
Got a commercial?
commercial. So I have been released. I got 4 songs I'm releasing this Christmas period. I've released 2 of them, and Old Wish is coming out. The 6th. I should know this. I'm doing a commercial. I don't even know the exact date. I think it's the 6th.
No.
Yeah, Old Wish is coming out. With pedal steel on it. Pretty cool. And then the last song that's coming out will be, I think, the 13th. And that's called Joy to the World. It's an instrumental version, rock version of Joy to the World. I play the guitar. And so all 4 of these songs. First one was Chestnut on an Open Fire, a Christmas song. It's a cover, obviously. Written, well, actually, I don't know the names, but Nat King Cole made it. And that's out already. And a song that I wrote with then 3 originals are released. One of them is Please Come Home for Christmas, which is a sad song, but people have told me they really like it because it speaks to, because not everybody's happy around Christmas time. There are people who are lonely. Maybe they're in a living and nobody comes to visit them and they feel forgotten. And the people that were their friends maybe have passed and their existing family. I mean, I've heard lots of stories of people that nobody comes visit them and holidays, they're especially alone. And this song talks about that. People sing loved ones, friends or loved ones at Christmas time, whether they passed or still living. It's called Please Come Home for Christmas. And that's available on streaming. And then, of course, Old Wish and Joy to the World. And all of those songs, all 4 of them, I recorded all the parts in my home studio, including piano and guitar, of course, and same parts. So check those out on your favorite streaming channel. All the streaming channels: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Pandora, what have you, YouTube Music, and I'm putting out clips, vertical, small, 60 seconds or less versions of all of that. So if you're following me on social media, you can find the clips performing those songs. So that's the extent of my holiday music.
You better be nice and follow my uncle. You know those TikToks.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
a great follow-up song for New Year's Day would be "Please Go Home, Christmas is Over."
Yeah, I wrote. Nobody does Thanksgiving songs that I know of. I know I'm sure somebody does, but it's not that popular. So last year I released. Time goes on. And I have other Christmas songs that I'm, of course, redoing the clips. There's 7 songs that I am promoting this Christmas season. 3 of them were previously released. One of